Hi, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me. Today's topic is getting out of ego. It was going to be James Twyman, but that had to be delayed a couple of weeks, circumstances beyond his control. So, we're going to be talking about the ego. First, hello to my listeners in Cypress, Texas. Always glad to have you here. Why is it a negative thing to step into ego? Well, all of us have been victims of the ego in our past. We can live much happier and successful lives if we can do a better job of managing our own egos. So it's not about not having ego because it's healthy to have some ego, but we're talking about getting stuck in ego or even worse, operating from a place of ego. There are a few reasons how ego can hurt us in our daily lives. One, it keeps you out of touch with reality. It creates unrealistic expectations and entitlement, and it makes you dependent on external validation. Ryan Holiday, the author of Ego is the Enemy, says the ego we see most commonly goes by a more casual definition, an unhealthy belief in our own importance, arrogance, self centered ambition. It's that petulant child inside every person, the one that chooses getting his or her own way over anything or anyone else. The need to be better than, more than, recognized for, far past any reasonable utility, that's ego. It's the sense of superiority and certainty that exceeds the bounds of confidence and talent. So, why is ego the enemy? There are several reasons. Again, I mentioned several to you, but let's talk about that keeping you out of touch with reality. Let's dig into that a bit. One of the biggest reasons why ego is your enemy is that it does keep you out of touch with reality. Your ego is what prevents you from hearing critical but necessary feedback from others. Ego makes you overestimate your own abilities and worth and underestimate the effort and skill required to achieve your goals. All of this means that you lose touch with reality and you miss opportunities to improve or connect with others and achieve your own goals. If ego is the voice that tells us we're better than we really are, we can say ego inhibits true success by preventing a direct and honest connection to the world around us. The ways this separation manifests itself negatively are immense. We cannot work with other people if we've put up walls. We can't improve the world if we don't understand it or ourselves. We can't take or receive feedback if we're incapable of or uninterested in hearing from outside sources. Let's go into why it creates unrealistic expectations and entitlement. Ego makes you assume that you deserve some outcome, whether it's job offers, a promotion, a sports trophy, etc., all because of your past efforts. It creates a feeling of entitlement. I want what's mine, what's due to me. I know what I deserve. Ryan, the author, again, entitlement assumes this is mine, I've earned it. At the same time, entitlement nickels and dimes other people because it can't conceive of valuing another person's time as highly as its own. It delivers tirades and pronouncements that exhaust the people who work for us and with us, who have no choice other than to go along. It overstates our abilities to others. It renders generous judgment of our prospects, and it creates ridiculous expectations. I mentioned that it makes you dependent on external validation. If you let your ego take too much control of yourself, you become incredibly dependent on external validation. And this validation may take the form of press coverage, mentions within internal company communications, applause from a crowd, the praise and admiration of your family, friends, boss, or colleagues. Extrinsic signals like higher compensation, a big house, a fancy car, expensive vacations, or impressive titles. Social media likes and follows. Your ego needs and craves this external validation in order to feel satisfied. Ego needs honors to be validated. Confidence, on the other hand, can wait and focus on the task at hand regardless of external recognition. With ego, we need to be recognized. We need to be compensated. Especially problematic is the fact that often we get that. We are praised, we are paid, and we start to assume that the two things always go together. That expectation hangover inevitably ensues. So now we know that ego is the enemy, and we've discussed several reasons why this is the case. What can we do about it? Do something. Don't try to be somebody. Focus on effort, not outcomes, and make other people successful. Let's dive into each of these methods. On the do something, don't try to be somebody. You have a choice. You can try to be somebody impressive, or you can do something impressive. Often, when we chase after trying to be somebody, we take shortcuts. We compromise our beliefs. We take more for ourselves than we share with others. But when we want to do something, we are motivated more by our purpose than by the external validation that comes with trying to be somebody. We're willing to work hard, stay true to our purpose and our beliefs, and treat others generously. Because we're less worried about how much credit, recognition, and rewards we get in our quest to be somebody, and we're more concerned about how much impact and influence we have on our quest to do something. Think hard about what motivates your behavior and your choices. Is it to be somebody or is it to do something? The next time you're at a fork in the road, take the low ego path of doing something. We're going to talk about focusing on effort, not outcomes. With almost any endeavor, there is a strong element of luck involved. You may have done everything you could to done to prepare, and you may have been very well performed at your best. Yet, despite all of this, the outcome of your efforts may be negative. Failure, disrespect, jealousy, or even a resounding yawn from the world. We can only control our own actions, but we cannot control what other people do. We cannot control the environment, and we cannot control the element of luck. You will be unappreciated. You will be sabotaged. You will experience surprising failures. Your expectations will not be met. You will lose. You will fail. How do you carry on then? How do you take pride in yourself and your work? You change the definition of success. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do your best to become the best that you can become. Recognition and rewards are just extra. When you are rejected, that's on them, not on you. This is why we cannot let external factors determine whether something was worth it or not. It's on us. The world is indifferent to what we humans want. If we persist in wanting and needing, we're simply setting ourselves up for resentment or worse. Remember, doing the work itself is enough. Next, powerful ways to shatter your ego. Every time I've suffered in life, my ego has been at the source. Not knowing your ass from third base breeds numerous problems, but perhaps the most dangerous is the inability to see beyond your own point of view. Living via your ego is essentially operating as if everything revolves around you. The world as you see it is the way it is. While a smattering of truth is present, much of life is open to interpretation. Getting outside of your own opinion as often as possible can spare us much heartache, but it's easier said than done. But there's several strategies to stepping outside of the ego and living a harmonious life. Here are some ways to remain grounded in your understanding of the events life chooses to unfold for you. Kill your addiction to approval. Approval is like any other desire in life. We strive to gain it, we relish it momentarily once attained, and then set out for more. It's as gratifying as winning the lottery and having to return the money the next day. The recognition is not the issue. The fact that we don't feel good enough without it is. Seek out praise for others. The subconscious mind doesn't operate based on what you think is true. It functions based on what it hears. Deliberately identifying opportunities to praise others will gradually shift your inner being from quietly self serving to proudly secure. Write down or state your purpose each day. Despite the astounding capabilities of the brain, its default is reaction mode. If you don't chart a course for it, the ship only steers when necessary. Writing down your intent for the day allows you to override the survival mechanism and stay consistent with who you really are. Let go of anger. You're not fooling anyone by raising your voice. Anger, although combative on the surface, is derived from fear. There is no need to rage when we are secure within ourselves. It's when we feel threatened and afraid that we kind of look at throwing the kitchen sink. Leaning into anger is the fastest way to lose any grip whatsoever on the situation. You give up your ability to cause a different outcome. Instead of lashing out, care for the child inside of you who's clearly hurt from the situation and come up with a more balanced plan of attack. Spend time alone in nature. Man-made structure can always have holes poked in them. There's always an opportunity to say what could be better. Nature, on the other hand, is much harder to argue with. It comes from the earth, the unknown, which we do not understand. That which we do not understand, we proceed with caution. There's absolutely zero ego in the eye of a hurricane. Leverage the law of attraction. This law states that what you put out to the universe, you receive in return. So when most of your questions are centered around what you can get out of life, life typically meets you with a similar demanding nature. On the flip side, looking for ways in which you can serve others opens the doors for others to do the same for you. You must give what you wish to receive. Be still. There was an event that took place in your life between the ages of 4 to 6 that resulted in a permanent conversation in your head. This internal noise, which we leverage for most of our wisdom, is not our intuition. It's simply our survival dialogue giving a full, blown out of proportion commentary about what's happening in our lives. The ego is pulling the strings. Next time you feel triggered, don't act or respond right away. Acknowledge your first response and then ask yourself, what else could this mean? Use irritation from others as a mirror for yourself. How you react to others says more about you and the state you're in than it does about them. People are who they are, some very secure, others not. An inkling of frustration is meant to be water, not gasoline. Assume everyone you interact with is perfect the way they are, except for you. Hold back the onset of berating other people and flip the lens to see which part of your psyche the situation could be exposing and could use more of your love. Focus on inner currency. While you may have tangible money in a tangible bank, the same can be said for what's inside your heart and mind. It won't matter how much money you have in savings if there's mostly garbage in your head. The love and compassion you show yourself and others is the quickest way to make huge deposits in your spiritual bank account. That is the one that will grant you a far more fulfilling life than simply dollars and cents. Be vulnerable. Being open and honest about what's really going on is a true measure of strength. The fear of looking bad drives people to internalize much of what they deal with daily. Feelings are reduced in power when we verbalize them and see them for what they are. Keeping them locked deep inside our mind leaves the authentic self preoccupied, creating space for the ego to step in and run the show. Suppress your opinion at times. There's something to be said about the person secure enough within themselves to remain quiet and reserved while another person shares. We're very connected as human beings. Odds are we could add our opinion to just about any conversation. Most of the time, however, it's not who we really are that we're looking to add the opinion, it's the ego wanting to do that. The ego has an overwhelming need to feel important. Therefore, it cannot help but blurt a point of view with every chance it gets. Realize this is not serving any need outside of self worth. If you're not offering something of legitimate value to the person you're speaking with, calm that storm within you and wait for the question to be asked. Question why you do what you do. In neurolinguistic programming, there's what's called a core value elicitation. These are the values that drive people from what they're looking for in life down to the deepest level. For example, a person's chosen career path could serve the values of contribution and growth, or it could serve the values of security and self worth. Same trajectory, very different forces manning the control booth. It's when we're unclear on which of these values we're serving that we're often left unfulfilled. We arrived at a checkpoint we looked forward to celebrating, and a cascade of emptiness wipes out whatever glimmer of excitement we had been harboring. The ego is self consuming. If what you're doing doesn't light you up, it probably isn't addressing a value that's important enough for you. Find yourself in others as often as possible. The context in which we screw up in life can differ, but we all do it. It seems like only yesterday we experienced our most spectacular drop of the ball as we pleaded to our higher power for people to show mercy. Much of life is trivial. It's not grandiose or horrific, it's simply there, being, breathing, alone, and perplexed. That's hard enough for many of us. Because of the way the human brain is wired, things will get worse if we don't consciously make them better. Given this understanding, we either make things better for others or we allow them to get worse. There is no neutrality. Viewing ourselves as distinct from everyone else is the quickest way to set your ego loose to spread turmoil. We're not that different from one another. We all have the same needs. Certain people may create layer upon layer of protection agencies, but inside, they're still a scared kid. Identifying a time when we experienced a similar struggle to what another person is dealing with is the ultimate victory for the authentic self over the ego. Make other people successful. To manage your own ego, focus on making other people successful. By paying attention to their needs, desires, and goals, you are setting aside your ego and self absorption to focus on others. In the process, you're developing a sense of purpose and service within yourself. It's no longer about you, it's about what you can do to help others. When you approach your relationships and your work in this way, suddenly you're not worried about taking things for yourself, whether opportunities, credit, or the spotlight. You're concerned about giving these things to others. And you build an incredible amount of trust and goodwill with your colleagues and friends when you behave this way. Imagine if for every person you met, you thought of some way to help them, something you could do for them, and you looked at it in a way that entirely benefited them and not you. The cumulative effect this would have over time would be profound. You would learn a great deal by solving diverse problems. You would develop a reputation for being indispensable. You'd have countless new relationships. You'd have an enormous bank of favors to call upon down the road. That's what the strategy is about, helping yourself by helping others. Making a concerted effort to trade your short term gratification for a longer term payoff. Whereas everyone else wants to get credit and be respected, you can forget credit. You can forget it so hard that you're glad when others get it instead of you. That was your aim, after all. Let the others take their credit on credit while you defer and earn interest on the principal. And in conclusion, to manage our ego, we can remember to approach life with these principles. Do something instead of trying to be somebody. Focus on effort, not outcomes, and make other people successful. By actively managing our ego, we will be more receptive to diverse perspectives that challenge our thinking. We'll be open to new ideas and opportunities. We will be willing to do the work required to achieve great things. We will focus on things that we control, such as our effort, rather than things we cannot, like the outcome. We will build trusted relationships with others by giving more credit, rewards, and opportunities than we take for ourselves. We will develop a sense of purpose and service by making others successful. Imagine how much more creative, productive, and energized we would be if we always lived life this way. Imagine how fulfilling our relationships would be for others if we can truly manage our own ego. This is what we're striving for. I urge you to take these lessons to heart and apply these principles in your daily life. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Tune in next Sunday. The topic is Manifest Your Future with Angels. And if you enjoyed the podcast, it helps if you like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. And may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.